More phone calls coming up. Stat of the day brought to you as always by Panini America, the official trading cards of the Dan Patrick Show. He was the 6th overall pick by the Minnesota Timberwolves back in 1999. He's Wally Szczerbiak, CBS Sports college basketball studio analyst, also works for the New York Knicks. Good to talk to you again, Wally. Do you have your Miami of Ohio sweatshirt on? Is that okay? All right, you're repping. I like that.
Repping Ohio, baby. Yeah, I know you went to Dayton. I went to Miami. We were rivals back in the day. Dayton's gone a good path. They just missed the tournament, and Miami lost by 2 in their conference championship. So Travis Steele's doing a great job. I'm excited about where the program is.
If you didn't go to Miami, where were you going?
Well, I wanted to go to St. John's, but they didn't recruit me. They had Felipe Lopez going there, so they didn't really give me an opportunity. I was a little under-recruited. Other schools I was looking at was Harvard, North Carolina State, Iowa, Siena. That was another one. I really wanted to go to Duke, but again, didn't recruit me. Really wanted to play for Rick Pitino, didn't recruit me. Really wanted to play in the Big East. So I ended up at Miami, played for great coaches. Sean Miller was an assistant. Thad Matta was an assistant. Herb Sendek, who's still coaching at Santa Clara, doing a great job. He was the head coach. So I went to kind of the cradle of coaches, which Miami is known for in football and also in college basketball. All those guys are thriving, so I got some great coaching for 4 years.
But would you have stayed there in the transfer portal NIL era?
No, absolutely not. I loved it. It's an amazing school. I got my degree. I have great friends. It's just an awesome campus, awesome place. But in today's landscape, the way players from mid-majors are getting kind of taken away from small teams and going to the big schools. You look at a team like Florida, Walter Clayton Jr. from Iona, Elijah Martin from FAU, Will Richard transferred from a mid-major. A lot of those top-tier teams, and we heard Bruce Pearl even said it. He said he loves to get transfers that come from mid-majors that haven't had the glorious meals, pregame meals, have been driving the games back and forth on buses, which we used to do at Miami of Ohio in the Mid-American Conference. They really appreciate coming to those big schools from mid-majors. They work hard. They're grinders. A lot of the top players in this tournament left are transfers from mid-major schools.
John Calipari said yesterday on Pat McAfee's show, at least I think it was yesterday, but he was talking about how you got to wait for the transfer portal before you can get a high school player. But I'm guessing these coaches have contact with these high school players, and you kind of have a sense of who on your team is going to be transferring or put their name in the portal. So is it that big of a deal that we have the transfer portal window open right now?
I think it could wait a little bit longer. I think it puts a lot on coaches that are still coaching's plate because they need to focus on trying to win a national championship and win games. And you can't be recruiting guys, watching film on guys in the transfer portal on the side, because you don't know whether those guys are going to pull the trigger and go to school and take a sure thing as far as a scholarship, an opportunity, and an NIL opportunity. It's got to be crazy. Listen, the coaches have been doing it for years. Like, for example, Herb Sendek, God bless him. We had a great freshman year. He ended up going on to NC State. We hired Charlie Coles, and my career kind of exploded, so it worked out great for me. But coaches leave when they have good seasons to take better opportunities. Now players have the opportunity to do the exact same thing. I think it's better for the game of basketball. I think if it's elevated the play of the players and of the teams, because iron sharpens iron. And now the best players, they can go to the best teams and play for the best coaches. And I think that's why we see 8 teams left from the SEC in the Sweet 16.
Okay, but what kind of tweaks are you going to make? If I said, all right, you're going to run college basketball, what's the one thing you want to change?
The one thing is to make sure there's a lot of promises out there as far as transfers and NIL money and stuff like that don't get delivered. If there's any way that it can be a lot more, it's kind of the wild, wild west, and it's like a promise that might never come to fruition. If there can be a way to just guarantee stuff and happening, maybe a contract, something like that, a 2-year deal where coaches know who's going to be playing for them for at least 2 years and not just one, and they can just transfer after one, something like that. Maybe giving a guy one transfer in their 4 years without sitting out. Then if they want to transfer again, they have to sit out a year. It goes back to the old rules back when I played, where if you transferred you need to just sit out a year and pay your dues kind of in order to play for a new coach on a new team with and a new campus. So I think those are a couple ideas that are being thrown around. But overall, the quality of the game is very good. I love seeing high-level basketball, and I like watching the best basketball players in college and the amateur level. And this year, we've gotten to that point where the best players are playing on the best teams for the best coaches.
Talking to Wally Szczerbiak, CBS Sports college basketball analyst. So you faced Michael Jordan at the end of his career with the Wizards. You had LeBron early in LeBron's career and Kobe kind of middle of his career.
I had Kobe the whole entire time kicking my butt. They knocked us out of the playoffs. It felt like every year with Kobe and Shaq when I was with the Minnesota Timberwolves and Kevin Garnett, Sprewell, and Cassell. That team was just dominant. So Kobe was outstanding.
Okay, most frustrating out of that three to cover?
Well, I didn't play against Jordan in his prime. The hardest guy for me to cover, I've always said this, was Paul Pierce. I played against him for years. He was such a smart basketball player. For me, being 6'7", 6'8", Paul Pierce had the height that could match up with me, and I just had a lot of problems guarding him. You know, he changed speeds. He was so smart. He was one of the most underrated superstars, I think, in my generation. I had the opportunity to play with him in Boston also for a year and a half. Got to know him as a guy, but he was a handful for me. Obviously, Kobe was, because he was so quick, so fast. But the thing I could I could post up Kobe a little bit, and because I had a little bit of a size and strength advantage, so I could get some buckets on him. I couldn't stop him though, that's for sure. On the other end,
was Jordan still talking trash back then at the end of his career?
Jordan talked the most trash to me on the golf course. I've played golf with Michael a couple times, and he's a lot of fun to play golf with. He's a lot of fun to play against in basketball too. But he talks a lot of trash on the golf course. He's a big time competitor, and he talked a little bit of trash. But when he was with the Wizards and I was with the Timberwolves, in the 3 years that I played against him, we won. We were 6-0 against the Wizards, back and forth, home and away. We beat him every single time. So I caught him at the end of his career, but nothing but respect for him. He's my GOAT. With all due respect to LeBron, my teammate, I got LeBron number 2 on the greatest of all time list. Michael Jordan, what he accomplished. When he needed to win a game, he won it. When he needed to make the big shot, he made it. And the way he dominated basketball on both ends of the floor for his career, he's my greatest of all time.
Okay, but is there something LeBron could accomplish that would change that list?
What he's doing, the longevity, it's incredible. It really is. It's just the tightness of Jordan's career, making it to 6 finals and winning all 6. Obviously, he had great teammates and a great coach, but he dominated his era of basketball like nobody else did. The longevity of LeBron, if you want to enter a different argument, the fact that he's still doing it at 40 years old is absolutely incredible. I think they're a legitimate title contender this year. So it's amazing. But the fact that Michael Jordan did it in a small span of time and just dominated every finals, I just don't think there's anything LeBron can do to surpass that. The 50,000 points plus, amazing accomplishment. And I got him number 2, right behind Michael Jordan.
Looking at the games tonight, BYU, Alabama, Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Duke, Arkansas, Texas Tech. Where's the surprise/upset in that group?
BYU, Alabama is must-see TV. That's the game to watch. This BYU team, coached under Kevin Young, an NBA mind that came from the Phoenix Suns, spreads the floor out, shoots a lot of threes. They get up and down the floor. They have outstanding big rebounders down low, so Alabama's going to have to bring their hard hat, and they're going to have to rebound. This game's going to be first 1 to 100. I'm really excited for this game. I think it's being played in Newark out there in New Jersey. This is going to be a great one. As far as upsets, I think Maryland might be able to pull an upset. I mean, Maryland, they have the Crab 5. They have an outstanding starting 5. They're rested after the first weekend. Florida looked a little bit vulnerable against UConn. I love Walter Clayton Jr. He shot him out of that game, making some big shots. And if UConn could have hit some open threes, which Danny Hurley drummed up for his guys, they could have won that game. They just missed too many open shots, Caravan and McNeely. I think that could be an upset special. Look out for the Maryland Terps.
If you were Cooper Flagg, give me a reason why you would go back to Duke.
Oof. Because it's a lot of fun to play in college basketball on campus. There's nothing like it. The thing is, there's a lot of risk if he does go back. He's the surefire number one. He's ready for the NBA. What you get when you go to the NBA, the coaching, the professionalism off the court, the physical therapists, the trainers, the strength coaches, it is an all-inclusive program to maximize your basketball abilities. Not saying that Duke is not the same, because Duke is at one of the highest levels in college. BYU is doing the same thing with Kevin Young coaching. They're trying to become basically a G League team, an NBA development team in college to get guys ready to play at the next level. But Cooper Flagg just has so much to risk if he doesn't come out. He's going to be the number one pick in the draft. The number one pick in the draft makes a lot of money, guaranteed. So we'll see. I know he's thrown out the idea. I think it would be great for college if he came back. I would love it because I love watching him in a Duke uniform. But at the same time, it's a very risky move if he does.
Yeah, but the Wizards could be there. I mean, it's hard to say, hey, they won the lottery and I'm the prize. I get to go to Washington. Like if you were going to go to Washington right now or you had a chance to stay at Duke for one more year, what would you do?
I'll tell you, that's a great point. But what if the flip side is, what if something happens in his, at Duke and he hurts himself, just something funky happens. That's a huge risk to take. And you never know with how the draft is going to pan out. We've seen teams jump up in the draft, and you have to trust that, most organizations in the NBA, they're figuring out once they get talent, they're figuring out how to maximize that talent and how to be pretty relevant. Washington's just been pretty irrelevant for a pretty long time. And I understand where you're coming from, but it's just, I think, too big of a risk for a guy like Cooper to take.
Good to catch up with you again, Wally. Thanks for joining us.
Always fun. Enjoy the Sweet 16. It's going to be a lot of fun the rest of the way, all the way to San Antonio, crowning a champ.
That's Wally Szczerbiak, CBS Sports college basketball analyst, former star at Miami of Ohio.